The Binding of Isaac Repentance brings a whole new experience to Binding of Isaac. It's brought us 19 new characters, 234 achievements, 258 completion marks to get, 0 fun to be had, and 1 guy with too much time on his hands. And I'm that guy, and this is how I got Dead God. On August 10th, 2020, I released a video called Getting 1,000,000%. On December 2nd, this video finally started getting views and gaining traction and has now become one of my most popular videos on my channel. No good movie can exist without a bad sequel, and this is that sequel. I have put in 287.9 hours into The Binding of Isaac Repentance since March 31st when it released. So let's start this journey at hour 0. Okay guys, the game is out. We play? Oh my gosh, there's a lot of unlock by beating witness. Step 1 is hard mode with Lazarus without losing a life. I've seen worse combos before. That unlocks Bethany? Very quickly, I unlocked Bethany on stream, and it was the first achievement of many that I would have to get for Repentance. I then used her on the next run to see what achievements I could get with her. Okay, her book summons that. Does it stick with you? It does stick with you? I think she's going to be one of the new easy characters, but she's a little bit harder to start off with, is how I feel about her. It turns out that she's just super OP, so it was a very easy first run to defeat Mega Stan. For all of those who comment saying, why do I call it Mega Stan? Because I want to. Back off. Second phase. Yeah, this is with as much damage as I do 10 damage. Surprised it's taking as long as it is. Okay, good. GG. I look like a maniac. What the heck? I am going to end it there because I'm tired. It's 5 a.m. and I need to get some sleep. That wrapped up my first Repentance session I did, and from what I saw, I'm like, this is not going to be that bad. Okay, I just have a few completion marks to get on these 2 new characters. It wasn't till I woke up after the stream that I learned about tainted characters. I thought there was only going to be 2 new characters. Now there is 17 other new characters, so that's 19 characters you have to get the completion mark pages done for. And oh wait, there's also 2 new bosses, and in order to get to those 2 bosses, you can pretty much not fight any other bosses, so it means you'll have to have 2 independent runs in order to do. It was going to be a long road ahead of me. Bethany was this new character they introduced that was super fun to play as and was super OP, and it was really hard to lose runs and a fun time, but they also introduced the exact opposite, which was Jacob and Asa, which was really, really tough to get used to, and it was a struggle the first few runs. Then we had the new bosses, which were Dogma, Beast, and Mother. Dogma and Beast being the combo pair, duo, trio, whatever they are that just completely wreck you. But they were also a struggle. Just getting to Mother was a struggle enough, but Mother and Dogma and Beast were quite the learning curve, I should say. On top of getting used to new characters, enemies, and bosses, there was also a lot of new glitches and bugs. I found out that with Jacob and Asa, if you had 9 lives with the Beast, you just had unlimited lives, and you could just die over and over and over again, and it was a free win. Then there was the different game breaks you could do with Tainted Cain, which was either in greed mode by getting 4 Steam sales really easily, or in regular, where you could just make a bunch of alabaster boxes and almost have infinite items. Pretty sick. Very cool. But then we had the bad glitches and bugs that could ruin an amazing run. 2 of the big ones I ran into was finding an unlimited angel room, which, as sick as that sounds, it was a living purgatory. This next one really isn't a bug or a glitch or anything. I just decided to use Metronome during the beast fight, and it gave me data miner, and it pretty much made the game unplayable, so I hope you enjoy watching this. After a few days, I was able to grind out and get all the tainted characters unlocked, and then I had to start the grind of actually getting all achievements, which I got all of the regular characters achievements done pretty easily. I also got the completion marks done for most of the tainted characters, minus getting Beast and Mother kills as all of them. I knew a few of the tainted characters were going to be an absolute pain, so I saved them for last. The last 4 tainted characters I had to get completion marks with were Tainted Lost, Tainted Jacob, Tainted Lazarus, and then finally Tainted Eden. Now, I did save Tainted Eden for last, more as a strategy, but also because Tainted Eden is kind of hard. I saved them for last because they get constant rerolls of all of their items, so that makes it easier to touch all items, which you need to do in order to get Dead God. The first of these characters that I decided to get all of the completion marks for was Tainted Lost, and you might think that's a weird idea, but Tainted Lost is, I would say, arguably one of the easiest of these 4 characters to play. Minus Tainted Eden, of course, I just wanted to save them for last. By this point, I had played all of the Tainted characters other than these 4, and so my first runs as the Lost were absolutely miserable. It was death after death after death on the first floors just because I wasn't in the correct mindset. But then on March 23rd, I did a live stream and I had never had such luck. During this run, I got Backpack and I was able to get Rechargeable Battery, Book of Invisibility, and Mega Mush. This setup, on top of already having really good items, made it really hard to die. I had 16 damage, I had a holy card already in use, I had an extra one in the card slot. It was quite the GG. But then the struggle train got a little too real, and it seemed like I could not win a single run. That's when I decided that I was going to go and beat Beast and Mother with all the Tainted characters to get that over and out of the way. After every one of these runs with Tainted characters, I would go back and see that Tainted Lost only had one completion mark left, which was Mother, which was proving so difficult. But finally, on March 30th, my luck turned around and I got the final Lost completion mark. I was able to get blank card, which meant I had unlimited holy card uses, and I also was able to get just really phenomenal items. But that didn't mean the Mother fight was going to be easy, because that meant I had 2 hits I could take before I would lose. And during this process, I figured out this really cool thing that if you shut down your computer while you're in the middle of a run, you can load back into the game where it like last saved, so you can kind of like restart from a checkpoint, which I definitely didn't use on this. I don't cheat at all, but it was sick. And then Tainted Lost was done and over with. I know I haven't mentioned the whole Delirium, Boss Rush, or Hush beating them and getting their completion marks. That was on the stream on the 23rd, so I'll put their clips in right here so you guys can see those just for legitimacy. But that was on the stream on the 23rd, so if you want to go watch the whole thing, go do that. But now, it was time for Tainted Jacob to get all of his completion marks. This was the start of my final 4 days of grinding out the game. Tainted Jacob is a extremely hard character to get used to, and also a hard character if you play them the true way to play them. But if you use glitches, like exiting the game right before Asa explodes, then you can just go throughout without turning into the Lost form, and it makes it a lot easier, and I know it's a little cheaty, but that is a easy glitch that you can use to abuse getting completion marks with Jacob. On May 1st, I was able to, 1, beat Ultra Greed with Tainted Eden just because I was bored and wanted a fun run. I was also able to beat Blue Baby, Lamb, Megastan, Mother, and Ultra Greed with Tainted Jacob on this day. All this left was honestly the hardest part with Tainted Jacob, which was getting to beat Beast, Hush, and Delirium. Now, the reason why Delirium is so hard is because if you do not get lucky and get the portal after Megastan, then it's extremely hard to get a good run and have a guaranteed chance to get to Delirium, because the only guaranteed chance to get to Delirium is through Hush. When you go through Hush, that means you're missing out from items from Womb 1 and from the chest, which you can get anywhere from 4 to as many chests that spawn during the chest floor. You can get anywhere between 2 and 9 items while you're down in the Hush area, but 3 of those items can come from the shop, and shop items aren't the absolute best, and most of them are active items. And also, you have to get the luck of getting items through the chests. Also, the 2 item rooms, they do have 2 items that you can pick from, but they're not always the most useful items. On May 2nd, I was able to get the Beast, Hush, and Delirium completion marks as Tainted Jacob, which finished off all his completion marks. This meant it was now Tainted Lazarus's turn to get his completion marks. I did not initially realize how just awful absolutely awful Tainted Lazarus is. He is basically a much worse version of Jacob and Esau because you have to delegate items to two different characters, but you don't get to use these characters at the same time, and you also don't exactly control when you turn into one or the other character. On May 2nd, I just wanted to tear my hair out because I was just struggling so hard with Tainted Lazarus. He was so much harder than expected, and trying to manage his health is just an absolute pain. You have one character that's really OP, one character that's not OP, but one character that has a lot of health, one that doesn't have enough health. You lose health, you change characters, absolute pain. On May 3rd, I was able to overcome some sort of barrier and was able to fully complete Tainted Lazarus. I got the completion marks for Beast, Delirium, Lamb, Megastan, Mother, and Ultra Greed all on this day. I was completely ecstatic, but it was very late at this point, and so I went to bed and knew that the next day was going to be my final day of beating Binding of Isaac Repentance and getting Dead God. The final day of my journey of getting Dead God, May 4th, was here. All I had left was to get every completion mark other than Hush and Boss Rush with Tainted Eden. The time was 1:45 p.m. This run had one purpose, and one purpose only: to beat Mother. The run was going really, really well, honestly, but I lost it at the end, just so you guys know. Tainted Eden is a very hard character in some circumstances. The more items you have, the more chances you have that the items will re-roll into useful items, but there is a chance that if you re-roll into enough red health items, you will lose all your soul heart. The way that Tainted Eden works is if they re-roll a health item, they lose that health upgrade. So you lose red heart health and you gain red heart health a lot as them every time you re-roll. On the other hand, soul hearts stick with you no matter what, unless you take damage and lose it just like any other character. So you come to this big issue that if you gain enough red heart health and you have full soul hearts, you could just lose all of those soul hearts, get a reroll, and get down to 1 health in a moment's notice. Then I attempted to do another run, and at 3:03 p.m., I beat Mother, and now was prepared to go destroy Beast. Just like my first Mother run, I kind of also lost this run. During the fight, I somehow managed to lose 3 hearts of health in the span of like 3 seconds, and it just wasn't going too well. The rerolls I was getting were awful, and it was just a long, long fight that just didn't end well. And I was at half a heart, I was fighting Beast, and I died. But that wasn't gonna stop me, so I hopped back into another game, and I beat Beast. I was full of items from the best loot pools, and so I was just there to show Beast to his demise. The official time of his death was 4:43 p.m. I was now down to my final sequence of bosses: Hush and Delirium. The packaged pair where you go to one, go to the other, and you just beat them and annihilate them. But that's not exactly what happened. I was in a run, I went to Hush, and the Hush fight really just didn't go too well. I beat Hush, but ended up having half a soul heart, which just pretty much led to my demise as soon as I got into the void floor, so I didn't even get a chance to fight Delirium. But I did secure that Hush win at 5:17 p.m. All that was between me and the glory of Dead God was one more completion mark, and touching every item, but one more completion mark. But first I went and ate dinner, so there's like a 1.5 hour gap, but then I did a run and went to Delirium. I once again went to Hush and beat Hush, went down into the void, and I knew what I had to do. I had to find that pesky room with the skull on it, and the boss inside that room needed to be Delirium. During this fight, I had no clue how much health I had because I had Curse of the Unknown, which made it a little stressful because I just didn't know what was happening. But I had really good items. There wasn't too much risk because I knew going into this I had a good amount of health, and so it was just an easy fight, and I put down Delirium at 7:33 p.m. I now had every single completion mark with every single character. The worst of this grind was behind me, and all that I had left was touching 4 more items. These 4 items were Wavy Cap, Redemption, C-Section, and TMT Trainer. The strategy that I decided to use was to go into greed mode, not greedier because it didn't matter, but go into greed mode as Tainted Cain. Once I got into greed mode, I was going to make 4 Steam sales, and I was going to get Death Certificate. But there is a catch to doing this break. If you want to do it, you first need to craft the backpack and then craft the remote. That way you can get the Death Certificate and go into the Death Certificate room and then change characters. Because if you're Tainted Cain, in the Death Certificate floor, any item you touch will still turn in to pickups. So on my first attempt at doing this, I successfully got the game to break. I got the 4 Steam sales, got the backpack, got everything I needed. Crafted Death Certificate, crafted the remote, had a room full of batteries, a room full of bone hearts, and like everything was just set out super nicely. I went up to the Death Certificate floor, I got Redemption, and when I came back to use the remote, I used it as Blue Baby and it crashed the game. But, as I said before, is when the game crashes, it takes you back to a save point. And the save point before that was right before I went to the Death Certificate floor. So, I was able to use the Death Certificate again without crafting it, and I went and touched Wavy Cap. But this is where I messed up. When I went and touched Redemption, it did count as picking up that item. And whenever I went and touched Wavy Cap, it also counted. So I picked up both those items and it was all good. But my simpleton mind was like, oh, it crashed, therefore I didn't touch the item. So I got upset and was like, I need to be able to use this remote and turn back into Tainted Cain. So what I did was exited the game and came back in. As I talked about before, if the game crashes, it goes back to your last quote-unquote save point. Now, save points are created whenever you get into a new floor or whenever you exit and come back into a game. What I effectively did was lock my game into a position where every time my game crashed after trying to use the remote too many times, it would crash the game, I would come back in, and I was in the position of just coming back from the Death Certificate floor. So I had to restart and redo this break, and I messed up multiple times. And all I needed to do was touch TMT Trainer and C-Section. I finally got the break working again, and I was able to craft Death Certificate. So I went up to the Death Certificate floor and almost grabbed TMT Trainer. Then I thought about it and knew TMT Trainer would turn every item for the rest of the game into a glitched item. This would be a major issue because I would then no longer be able to pick up the last item, C-Section. I went and found C-Section and picked it up, took me back to the regular greed floor, and I used the remote until my game crashed. I wouldn't say that this is abusing a bug in the game because if you could use the remote properly, you could get back to Tainted Cain and continue doing what you're doing, but because they make it so it crashes when you do this, you just become Tainted Cain faster, and that's their fault, not my fault. Blame them. I did make another small mistake, and whenever the game crashed and I came back in, it took me back to way in the beginning of the game, but it was after I broke the game, so it wasn't a huge issue. I just didn't have the items I needed to craft Death Certificate. I was having issues finding the items I needed to get the Death Certificate, because if you guys don't know, getting bone hearts is really hard. The easiest way to do it is to find a secret room, and there were no secret rooms on this floor. So what I decided to do to find bony hearts was to keep buying cards until I got a reverse Hierophant card, because those get you to bony hearts. While I was buying a bunch of cards, I got a tower card and just randomly used it. But there was one small issue when I did this, and it blew up the reroll machine. But that wasn't a mistake. As you can see, blowing up that reroll machine somehow made it available to buy TMT Trainer for 3 whole cents. I then used the remote so I could actually pick up the item, and I got Dead God. I forgot to put it in and keep on telling you guys what time it was when I got Dead God, because I kind of just forgot and finished editing the video. But guys, I got Dead God at 9:30 p.m. Outro. I hope you guys liked that video of me getting Dead God. It was so much fun. Almost 300 hours it took me to get that. Every second was worth. I just want to say real quick, thank you guys for helping me achieve the goal of getting to 4,000 subscribers. It's been absolutely insane how much the channel has been growing since December. It is a crazy, crazy thing to see. If you guys are new in the community, please consider going down into the description and joining the Discord. And if you guys haven't yet, please like and subscribe because it really helps the channel. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, guys, it's been Priets. Peace out. Bye.